Most welcome to Historiespanerna History, Reconnaissance and Contraptions, World War II Battlefield Ingenuity. This is the story of measures and countermeasures in World War II, traps and contraptions to overcome and deceive the enemy and get the upper hand. There were simple creations or more elaborate ones. Some also, as we will see, included the sacrifice of the soldiers using them. So join us and see these devices set up and used in the field. And please, subscribe to our channel and join us on our continuing journey in history. And in addition, there are more than 200 videos that we have published prior to this one, waiting for you on our channel.
The murderous firepower of the bazooka is already a legend. But in Nettunia, Italy, thinking men increased firepower by using 4 bazookas mounted and tied to a German shell case. Then they rigged the complete affair to a machine gun mount set on a jeep. The result is a small-sized artillery attack, bazooka quadruplets, 4-way murder with a purpose.
The Japanese lunch mine was a lethal device, maybe more dangerous to the soldier using it than for the tank crew on the receiving end. The mine was thrusted against the side of a tank. Then the handle would strike a blasting cap at the top of the cone, exploding the charge. The 3 legs at the bottom of the cone increased the effect of the explosion, as the effect was greater a few inches away from the armor. Another device was the hook charge, consisting of a demolition charge wider a short stick. 2 heavy wires, bent like fishhooks, are fastened to the other end of the charge. A pull-top fuse lighter is used to ignite the fuse. The Japanese soldier would then, after pulling the fuse cord, hang the charge over the tank gun barrel and then, if possible, retreat.
Near the end of the war, the Nazis formed a new combat unit to man radio-controlled explosive boats. The radio control man in the pilot boat steered the other craft and could regulate the speed. 3 boats made up a combat team: the pilot boat and 2 explosive boats. A pilot drove each explosive boat until an attack was started. Then he jumped overboard, and to quote the Germans, he was nearly always rescued, either before or after the operation. Radio control made little difference. It saved the lives of a few Nazi boatmen, but the guns of the escort ships still blasted the boats out of the water with almost 100% success. Against an alert enemy, the motorboat idea in any form was a dismal failure.
Now, let's fast forward 80 years to a very similar boat drone, the Sea Baby, made in Ukraine, controlled with a bit more high tech, and this one is certainly not a failure.
One of the most difficult problems for our advancing armies is that of enemy mines. However, our metallic mine detectors have been developed to a point where we have this problem under control. In certain cases, we no longer explode metallic mines. By various ingenious devices, such as this soldier's forked stick, which enables him to spring the mine without exploding it, we're capturing them intact, to be saved and replanted against our enemy himself. But each time one side contrives something new or licks some problem posed by his opponent, the other side comes right back with another new gadget. The Nazis have answered our perfected technique of metallic mine detection with this simple little wooden box. Looks harmless enough, doesn't it? But it's just as deadly as the larger metal mine. A detonator is placed through a hole in the front and the firing pin set. The lid is then partially closed but prevented from closing entirely by a small twig placed under the edge. When this twig is disturbed, the lid falls, knocking out the pin. This is sure one little package that should be clearly marked, handle with care.
The Bob Semple tank was a light tank designed by New Zealand Minister of Works Bob Semple during World War II, originating out of the need to build military hardware from available materials. The tank was built from corrugated iron on a tractor base. Main armament was 6 Bren light machine guns. The tank was a functional failure. By using a large tractor as a base and bolting on a hastily designed and poorly constructed tank superstructure, the resultant tanks were inadequately armored, extremely heavy and slow. Due to the shape of the underlying tractor and undue vibrations, shooting from the tank was both difficult and inevitably inaccurate. And in the category large contraptions were the armored trains. Poland, Germany, the Soviet Union, Italy, Hungary and Japan used them to a varying degree and success. These trains were often heavily fortified with armor plating and equipped with an array of weapons, including artillery, anti-aircraft guns and machine guns. Armored trains were used for patrolling rail lines in key areas, particularly in regions where rail infrastructure was vital for military logistics. These trains often supported infantry units by providing heavy fire support. Their artillery and machine guns could lay down suppressive fire, support attacks and defend against enemy advances.
Tanks are also painted in patterns which disrupt the form of the vehicles and blend them into local terrain. This tank is to be disguised as a truck. The framework consists of iron pipe, which may be easily dismantled for shipment. When the framework is covered with canvas, it simulates the body of a truck. The steel structure is designed to fasten securely onto the tank. Trip handles allow the framework to be quickly and simply discarded when the tank goes into combat. The canvas-covered framework, which simulates a vehicle hood, is also easily removed.
The Smith gun was an ad hoc anti-tank artillery piece used by the British Army and Home Guard during the Second World War. It was tasked mainly with point defense, such as guarding airfields. It was heavy and awkward to manhandle. Not simply to move around, but also to tip over to the correct wheel on firm level ground so it lay in, and remained in the correct firing configuration. The Blacker Bombard, also known as the 29mm Spigot mortar, was issued to British Home Guard units as an anti-tank weapon in case of German invasion. Although there were doubts about the effectiveness of the Bombard, many were issued. Few, if any, saw combat. The Projector, 2.5 inch, more commonly known as the Northover Projector, was yet another stopgap anti-tank weapon. It consisted of a hollow metal tube attached to a tripod, with a rudimentary breech at one end. Rounds were fired with the use of black powder ignited by a standard percussion cap. It had an effective range of between 100 and 150 yards.
When this framework is covered with cloth and painted in appropriate colors, it is mounted on a quarter-ton truck and will appear as a light tank at 1,000 yards. The framework is very simply attached to a quarter-ton truck and does not interfere with the operation of the vehicle. Cloth is used to cover the assembled framework. It is cut beforehand in appropriate shapes and sizes. The dummy construction is then lifted over the vehicle so as to fit into the proper groove in the brackets and bumpers. Openings in front of the radiator prevent interference with the cooling system of the quarter-ton truck. The driver must move the dummy so as to avoid as much as possible a light bouncing movement, which a real tank does not have.
That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.